Yeah, I think
What's
sometimes controversy is the start of it.
Right.
I think you look at great moves of God, a lot of times they were birthed out of controversy, trouble, something that happened. Hard times often started moves of God. And all these things that are happening in our world today, it's almost, as a believer, we look at it and say, man, we're getting closer.
All right, what's going on? Yo, I'm super excited. Got my brother with me today.
Yes, sir.
Brother, friend, husband, father, pastor, kingdom builder, world shaker speaker. Welcome to the show, Mr. Gabriel Villa, my brother. How you doing, man?
Thank you.
Thanks for making the drive.
Pablo, it's so good to be here with you. I think for me, this is an honor, privilege to be with you. I think God is going to do something special with World Shakers, not just now, but I know in the future that's going to be millions of people reach through what you're building. I'm just blessed to be here with you today.
Thanks, man. Thanks for making the drive. Just so you guys know, too, Gabriel holds it down for Victory Outreach Hollywood as well.
Yes,
for anybody tapping in over there, I'm sure you guys will probably get to know a little bit more about him. We'll put all the details for him down below. But today we're talking kingdom and building something to last. A couple weeks ago, Pastor, you did a series on Lamentations, and how we talked about building something to last. There's so many times, like I was just sharing with you a little bit off camera. God has really kind of placed a vision and almost what I feel like is like a mission for me to carry out in the world of business to, really align or help others align their core values and beliefs with their business practices and principles. And when we start to align things, like right now we were just talking, it's a lot of crazy things that are going on in this world.
A lot.
It's
too many to count.
and people are being bold, right?
Yeah.
Super bold. And obviously, like, one of the things that kind of irked me a little bit, and I'm curious to maybe get your thoughts on it. This is a podcast where we could be a little controversial, right? It's kind of ability to just free freely. Obviously, right now, we're in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right? We're in the Olympics. And the opening series of the Olympics caused a lot of controversy. And people were being bold, right? Not to get specific on that. I'm sure you guys all know what we're talking about. But when we're building something to last, sometimes is controversy part of that?
Yeah, I think sometimes controversy is the start of it.
Right.
I think you look at great moves of God, a lot of times they were birthed out of controversy, trouble, something that happened. Hard times often started moves of God. And all these things that are happening in our world today, it's almost, as a believer, we look at it and say, man, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. The Bible tells us that perilous times will come, that there'll be scoffers in the end days. There'll be mockers. There'll be all these things. So you look at it and you almost think to yourself, oh, yeah, the Bible told me this was going to happen. Jesus told us that if they hated him, that they were going to hate us. So it's almost like, okay, yeah, it's nothing new, It's nothing new. But a lot of times these things, they shake up believers to a point where they say, I want to do something about it.
Yeah.
I want to do something about it. Like you said, be bold. Okay, if there's a boldness about a message that comes against what I believe and what I stand for, my God, then how much more bold do I need to be with the message that God has given me?
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Of course, we preach the gospel. Whatever God has called us to do, in whatever way he's called us to do it, in whatever platform he's called us to do it, how do we be bold? So I think it actually is sometimes a birthing ground of great things.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because people that are going to be listening to this are individuals that are wanting to create some type of momentum in their life. They're on a mission to accomplish something. They're building something, whether it be a business, a family, a marriage, whatever their vision has been.
Yeah.
Right. And what we want to talk about when I hear built to last, right? Even leaders, we see leaders rise, we see leaders fall. Yeah. That's historical and biblical. That's going to happen. But what are the qualities of an individual or of a company or of a mission that you believe are super important to have when we're building something to last?
Yeah, that's a really important question. I think that anybody who's building something, whatever you're building, a company, a business, a movement, a family, whatever you're building, a ministry, a church, you have to think to yourself, this thing has to last the test of time. My leadership in this, it can't just be for a moment, it can't just be for a season, but I have to build in a way where in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 100 years, even past my lifetime, this thing continues. And so for me, I think the qualities, I love to look at the life of David, because David was somebody who got entrusted with something big. And I think the key word is entrusted. David was a nobody from nowhere who was just in the shepherd's field. Even his dad rejected him, Jesse. He was in the shepherd's field. And imagine, okay, the shepherd's field wasn't like, it wasn't modern day shepherd's field. Like David wasn't out there on Instagram taking selfies, posting right here, taking care of the sheep, checking who's seen his story.
Yeah, how many likes you got?
Yeah, how many likes I got? Oh, somebody's seen me out here. No, nobody's seen him.
Yeah.
No one had any updates on David. No one knew where he was at, but God knew where he was at. And think about David in the shepherd's field, God started to build him. Because if God could build him, whatever David would build would last. But if David wasn't built with the right characteristics, the right, I believe, principles, and I think that's the key word, the right principles, then whatever David did wouldn't last. And you were seeing that in real time, in biblical times, with the life of King Saul. And King Saul was leading the nation of Israel, and he started out just like David, a nobody from nowhere. The Bible's very clear on that. He was a nobody. King Saul was a nobody from nowhere until God called him out. He was anointed to be king. He became king. He reigned. But then something started to happen in Saul. He started to change. He wasn't the same person that he used to be when God found him. He changed. And so you see in the nation of Israel, what he was building was suffering because of him. And you see different accounts of what was happening with Saul. So as this was happening with Saul, now David is in the shepherd's field and God's trying to build something in him because Saul is losing it. Saul's losing it. Saul's a good example of building not to last. Got distracted, broke his values, broke his convictions, started to stray from who the God-given purpose was on his life. And so now you have David. David's in the shepherd's field. Nobody could see him, but God's giving him principles. And the thing about principles, if they work with small things, they work with big things, right? That's a principle. If I can use a principle in a small thing, that same principle will work with the big thing. So now he has sheep. Wow. It wasn't always going to be sheep. One day it was going to be a nation. It was going to be millions of people that he was going to be responsible for. But right now it was sheep.
Wow.
And so God was building his integrity. I think key words that are important for a person to have: integrity, character, godliness, holiness, his principles. And so now he's there in the shepherd's field, and now he starts going through tests, right? You get the lion that comes. You get the bear that comes. And what is God building in David? Principles. Whatever God gives me, sheep, whatever my responsibility is, I will protect with everything I have. It's a principle.
That's so good.
Whatever God entrusts to me, I'll protect.
That's so good.
Whatever God entrusts with me, I'll give my all. Whatever God entrusts with me, I'll treat it like it's the number one thing in the world. So when the lion comes, it doesn't matter if no one else sees. David knows this is his God-given responsibility. Boom, he kills the lion. The bear comes. No, this is my God-given responsibility. Boom, he kills the bear. No one's seen.
I think that's so good because, like, as I'm looking at this as like building a business. So many times, like, we want the team of 100+ people. We want, the millions of dollars in the bank. We want all these different things.
Yeah.
But we always hear, like, I've always been told, even by my pastor, if you want God to trust you with a lot, you got to be able to trust a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, we hear it, like, obviously in the financial world is like, money isn't who you are, just it amplifies who you are.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's like the things that, if you could take care of $100, then God will see that if you're a good steward of that. I think another word here is like stewardship.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? I'm hearing stewardship right now.
100%.
So as you continue to go off and you're building whatever you're building a relationship, awesome. Be the best boyfriend, girlfriend in that season.
Yep.
The best fiance in that season. The best husband or wife in that season. Whatever season you may be in of building, be a good steward of that, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. No, you have to be a good steward. And you have to realize, I think a lot of people don't realize they are a steward. I think just that is an epiphany. It's a, wow, I'm a steward. Yeah, you're a steward. Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we want to attribute what we're doing to ourselves.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm not a steward. Because a steward means you're taking care of something that's not yours. But that's a cuss word to a lot of entrepreneurs. Not mine. I built this. I did this. I put in the work. I put in the sleepless nights. This is my company. This is my team. This is my thing. This is my money. This is my resource. This is me. No. You're a steward. You're a steward. David learned that lesson later on in life. Because David was a man, flesh and blood. You pinched him and he bleeds. So am I. Right? All of us are men. We make mistakes. Yeah. We're not perfect. And David in the shepherd's field, he learned principles. And the important thing about principles, I want to sew this up real quick before we move on. The important thing about David's principles is that no one can see his principles, but God's seen his principles. And God said, if David can apply this to sheep, he can apply it to a nation. And so what happens is, if you take care of your principles, God will take care of your platform. David didn't build his platform. David built his principles. God built his platform. God was sending Samuel to come and anoint a king. He called Jesse and all his brothers and all his sons. And he thought that the king might have been one of the brothers, but Jesse didn't even bring his son David out of the shepherd's field because he didn't think anything of him. So then Samuel said, okay, I'm going to anoint this one. God told him, no. That's not the one. He said, man looks at the outer appearance, but God looks at the heart. So this guy looked like the right guy. His brother looked like the right guy, but he wasn't. On the inside, he wasn't the right guy. And man looks at the outer appearance, but God looks at the heart. And so then Samuel asks, is there anyone else? They go get David, and David gets anointed to be king. Now, he doesn't go straight to the palace. That's another message in itself.
Right.
He goes back into his process. But now, the principles that he had, that he was developing in the dark, the principles you develop in the dark with the little, right? You said it earlier.
Yeah.
If you're faithful with the little, those same principles will help you build when you're big and help you stay true and help you last when you're big.
That's good. Building something to last.
Yeah.
Stewardship. Character. Obedience as well, I think, is a big one.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about making decisions when it's like, man, are you like, sometimes I'm making a decision. I'll be honest, Pastor Gabriel, I'll be like, man, God, do you really want me to make this decision? Like, maybe it's hiring somebody, firing someone, pivoting towards a way that I don't feel, right? But sometimes, a lot of times, like, talk a little bit about when we're building something to last, we can't necessarily rely on our feelings. Okay. I think that's a big one.
Yeah, no, it's a huge one. See, some of you right now, you're in the middle. You're about to make a decision.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, is this the right decision? Is it the wrong decision? Is it going to be detrimental? Is it going to be instrumental? What is it going to do to my business, my life? Okay, that decision that you're making, number one, you got to realize if you've made the decision to be a believer, to be a man of God, to be a woman of God, God doesn't just apply to Sunday mornings in our lives.
Say that again. Yeah.
I'll say it again. God doesn't, God doesn't just apply to the Sunday morning. Sometimes we walk in and we go to church and we think, oh, okay, no. He's integrated in every part of our lives because we become a believer. We become a follower of Christ. And so then everything we do, Christ flows out. So if you're a business leader, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you have a company, you're a leader in one of these companies, and you're having to make decisions, you got to go to godly counsel. And you got to ask God, help me with this decision. Give me discernment. Give me the ability to make the right decisions. We're talking about David. David was one of the greatest military commanders in the world. And that's regarded in secular history, in biblical history. And nobody can deny David's military skill. As he grew, as he became the king of Israel, all their military exploits, how he was able to expand Israel militarily, how they were able to take land, conquer. he was an amazing military commander. With all that being said, you would think that a great military commander, when it came to war, would know, okay, well, I have so much experience. I've done so many different things. I've had so many battles. I know exactly what to do. But if you read scripture, David was so dependent on God.
Yeah.
For the strategy. Always dependent on God. Always. And sometimes God would give him a strategy that didn't make sense. And imagine if he would have relied on experience. Imagine if he would have relied on his education. Imagine if he would have relied on his know-how. Imagine if he would have relied on his, I've done this before, I've been this before, I've seen other people make this decision. I'm not saying every decision is a heavy decision like that.
Right.
But when we're making big decisions, I think it's important that we never just take it into our own hands and say, well, I know what to do here. No. But what is God? Where is he leading you? David never, no matter how experienced he got, he never let experience be his guide. Right. Experience would guide him, but his trust in God, God would give him godly insight, godly wisdom. And wisdom from heaven is the best way to go.
100%. And I'm hearing this, and I'm also thinking, like, how many times as business owners, and I'm guilty of it, right? Sometimes, especially now, like, I'm in a big transition in my life. I was just kind of sharing with you where a lot of times, we do edge God out, right? We don't let God do what God wants to do. And it's a transition, right? It's a transition. But a lot of times what we end up finding is like, let me go to my business coach. Let me go to my mentor. Right? We go to our community. And I think if we're going to build something to last, community is also the people around you, right? Going to individuals that are also believers, that have those core values and principles that are aligned with yours as well. Yeah. Because something that we're going to talk about at our World Shakers is like community, right? It's a big piece to building anything, building a ministry, building a family, building something that's going to last. Yeah. I think you got to have an association of great people around you, and also understanding, are those people more looking at material? Do they have a great mindset? Yeah. And then what I truly believe is the separator is the morals. Yeah. Because right now, something that and again, we'll talk more about it as time progresses, but a lot of times, like, when we want to build something to last. I work with a lot of brokers, right? And no shade, maybe no shade, maybe a little shade. Right? Yeah. But it's don't shade. I know a lot of brokers, if you know what I mean. Oh. They got the nice Louis, but.
Yeah. You know what's really going on.
I also know a lot of people with great mindsets. And this is where a lot of people are. Yeah. I love Kobe. Oh, yeah. I love the Mamba mentality.
I cried when he died. I got to be honest.
I'll be honest, bro.
I shed it too.
I went to, I think at that time it was Staples Center.
Yeah, I was there too.
I don't know why they changed it, by the way.
I took a ball. I signed it. Like,
love Kobe.
I did it all.
I don't know if mine and Kobe's morals were aligned, though. And a lot of times, we get attracted to the person with the great mindset, but then something happens. Oh, bro. No. Yeah. Can't make that decision. So what we're going to dive into at World Shakers is aligning with people that they got the same morals. You're aligned morally with them. And if we're going to build something to last, I think it's important to understand, they got to have a great mindset. That's dope. But I think also, are they morally aligned?
I love that.
Are we morally aligned?
Yeah. I love that.
So I think that community.
Do we share the same convictions?
Yes. That's good.
I got to share convictions with you in order for us to be on the same page. Yeah. Because you're right. I know tons of people, and it's not like people who have a great mindset but they don't have the same conviction. They're just can't be friends.
Yeah, no, 100% not.
Yeah. We associate, but when I really need guidance, I got to go with somebody who, number one, I always ask myself, is this person where I want to go? And do they have the same beliefs and convictions that I have that can help me?
That's good.
And if not, they might give me good advice, but is it God advice? And I because there's a difference between good advice, good opportunities, and God opportunities and God advice. And I think that it's important to not totally, I hope no one's getting the picture of like this person who's just like in their room by themselves and don't talk to anybody unless you love the Lord. You know,
we ain't Pharisees.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. just say, if you're making important decisions, go to people who align with you. You're saying,
right.
Have the same convictions. It's not going to lead you into doing something where it breaks the integrity of who you are and where you stand with the Lord.
That's so good. So guys, building something to last. We learned, Pastor Gabriel broke down some really good principles, obedience, stewardship. We talked community. We hope that you found some value in this and that you could apply it going throughout your week.
Yeah.
We also want to invite you, World Shakers Conference coming up here on September 21st in the city of Pomona.
We're here right now.
We're here now.
Yeah.
We're in the building. We just gave Pastor Gabriel a great tour of the building. We're super excited. We want to see you guys here, see you guys in the room. We'll put all the information down below. Yeah. Pastor Gabriel, thanks so much for making it out. Anything else that we could give one last maybe tip to the people building something to last this week?
I'm so excited to share, first of all, at World Shakers. I'm honored that you invited me. I think this place is going to be packed out with people who want to grow, build their business. I think there's going to be people here who really get perspective on what God wants them to do in this next season. I think there's even people behind the screen right now who they're feeling, man, okay, I want to build a godly business. I want to be a good steward. I want to be all those things. And I think there's going to be people that come that they break barriers in their life.
That's good.
They break barriers. They get something here that opens them up, opens their season up, opens the next chapter up in their lives. And if I could leave you guys with anything, it's this. I think we talked about being a good steward. I'm going to go back to David. I'm zoned in on David right now. There's a time in Scripture, I was reading this morning, I got to share it before we end, that David takes a census of the nation. This is when David is a little more seasoned in his leadership. He's not Shepherdsfield David anymore. He takes a census. The Bible says something interesting, and I always wondered why. It says that the Lord was angry at David for this. Even Joab, his military commander, who he told to do it, was like, are you sure you want to do this? In Chronicles, it tells us that actually Satan influenced him to do it. A census is just a census. It's what me and you do in America. We take a census. We tell them our names, where we're at, our ethnicity, all these things. So they could get a gauge. They could get a pulse on the nation, right? Who's here? How many people we got? Where are they from? David was taking a census of Israel. And I always wondered why it made God so mad. And what I learned is that in those days, a man would only count. Like I came to do a census with you, and I said, I need the count of you, your family, your sheep, your animals, your herds, your livestock. You would go out, and there might be other animal that didn't belong, but you would only count what belonged to you. So a person would only count what belonged to them. So David, in counting all of Israel, it was an act of pride. He was saying, I want to see what belongs to me. But that was never the intention. God found him in the shepherd's field when he was a nobody from nowhere, with nobody's eyes on him, and said, I'm going to entrust you with all this. I'm going to make you a steward. I know that you're going to have a lot of control. I know you're going to have a lot of resources. You're going to have a lot of money, going to have a lot of wealth, going to have a lot of prestige, going to have a lot of influence, going to have a lot of relationships. But never forget, David, I gave you that. And it doesn't belong to you. And so when David counted the people, he was telling everybody, Israel belongs to me. Israel didn't belong to David. Israel belonged to the Lord. David was just entrusted with it. And so your business, whatever you're building, you got to come to grips with the fact that it doesn't belong to you.
That's so good.
You are a steward. I know that it comes with influence, but you're just a steward. I know it comes with wealth, but you're just a steward. I know it comes with being able to change the trajectory of your family. Isn't that beautiful that God would entrust us with that?
That's so good.
But we can never get the mentality that David got in that moment. This belongs to me. And I believe when we come to World Shakers, that there's going to be a lot of people that make a decision. I'm going to build a godly business. I'm going to be a good steward. And God's going to explode everything they put their hands to.
That's good. Man, this is a good episode. Thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you for having me.
That's so good. Guys, you guys ever struggle with maybe your identity? Do you ever feel like, man, am I really called to do this? You're ever in a season where you're questioning yourself? You're having struggles with that? Our next episode, we actually have another speaker at World Shakers. My good brother, Pastor Jeff Osborne, is going to be joining the next episode on identity. So tap into the next one. Like, subscribe, follow Pastor Gabriel, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast episode.
We'll see you in
Thanks
September
so
right
see
here.